blood glucose regulation is something that is influenced by the endocrine system, the glands that secrete hormones that can raise or lower blood glucose concentration when required to ensure that we remain within our tolerance limit. So the part of the body where this is influenced by, is something called the islets of Langerhans. So it's an interesting name which refers to part of the pancreas. So the gland in question here is the pancreas. So the gland in question is the pancreas, and part of this gland, the islets of Langerhans, contains something called alpha cells and beta cells, which are pictured below. So obviously they just look like blotches of cells, but I can tell you that one shows us some alpha cells and one shows us more specifically some beta cells. So the job of these alpha cells is, these alpha cells detect low blood glucose levels, and as a result end up releasing a hormone called glucagon. Now the beta cells, these detect high blood glucose levels and end up releasing a hormone called insulin as a result. So the activity of alpha cells and beta cells detecting blood glucose levels and then releasing, or leading to the release of hormones, can be put in a feedback loop really nicely to paint sort of the overall picture. So if we're starting off with normal blood glucose levels, if our blood glucose level is above tolerance limit, then what's going to occur is this is going to be detected by the beta cells. So that, or the B is for beta, the beta cells in the islets of Langerhans in the pancreas will detect that blood glucose is raised above the tolerance limit. This will result in insulin being released, and so the process of the insulin traveling to and binding in receptors in the liver will end up influencing or bringing about glucose being converted to glycogen. So we've got too much free glucose in the blood. Insulin is going to stimulate that free glucose being converted to a stored format, stored away as glycogen, so we don't have as much in the blood, which will lead to a drop. So the blood glucose level drops, and ultimately we get that negative feedback and that return to normal blood glucose level. On the flip side of that, if we move away from normal blood glucose and our blood glucose level is below tolerance limit, it gets too low, this is going to be detected by alpha cells. So that's a symbol for alpha there. Now, when blood glucose levels detected as too low by the alpha cells, then we are going to get different hormone, glucagon, released, and this is going to make its way to the liver and stimulate the opposite occurring. So glycogen, so glucose in the stored form of glycogen, is going to be broken down into individual glucose molecules, which when released into the blood we'll see blood glucose level rise, and we return to a normal blood glucose level. So that's how alpha and beta cells in the islets of Langerhans in the pancreas can detect rises and falls in blood glucose level in the body and lead to the secretion of glucagon or insulin, depending on what we need to see occur as far as blood glucose level rising or falling inside of the body.